So, as a kid, I was a kid once. You were a kid once. And as a kid growing up, I had a lot of physical activity. To show my age, this was just before the internet came around. So, we had playing outside, we had recess, and then growing up, we had PE. And then in high school, even though PE was a extracurricular, quote unquote, I only had to take it 1 year, but I still took PE. I started playing football and we had lots of like basketball and PE classes. And then in college, I after high school, after college is when I got, or beginning of college is when I got into Olympic weightlifting. So I did that, but I would also do just pro splits in the gym or play sports with my friends, basketball again, and that's on top of all the walking I did. Uh, After college, I Olympic lifted, and that was it. So that was not good for my body. I remember my hips getting really tight, and I was eating the same, and then I started ballooning up in weight. Um, and as valiant as just lifting is, and adults do that, but I don't think our bodies are meant to just lift 3 days a week and just sit around the rest of the time. Um, So I don't want to get too much into the whole food and nutrition and losing weight type thing, but I will talk about the movement aspect, okay? Because when I was going through that whole movement arc as a kid, I think my mobility was also good, and that it kind of makes you wonder, like, what is it? Just the fact that kids are kids, or is it the constant movement? I'm going to give you a hint. It's the constant movement. So I'm going to go over what I call giving yourself physical homework. But first, I'm going to go into more detail of that whole activity arc because I think a lot of people get into that. We all have recess and play, and then we may go into organized sports, and there's all this movement and activity, and then we stop, and then we wonder why do we have all these aches and pains, and why am I just not as limber as I used to, or not as lean as I easily used to be? It's just because you're not moving often enough. So to use football as an example, now this was high school, but this was like a year-round movement. Now the term is hybrid training, but whatever. It's just be a well-rounded human being uh, type thing. What started out was in summer where there was just a lot of lifting and then either sprinting or longer distance running. The season would come up, so you had to drop the lifting. We didn't even have lifting in season, but drop the lifting, lots of running, hitting each other, drills, up downs, all that stuff. And then season was over, winter came, probably didn't lift, but I would lose my mind and I would still do something. Beginning of the spring came, lots of lifting, running, spring football, and then back to summer. That's a lot. I wish I had a step counter back then because, man, that's a lot of movement. College, didn't play football there, but, you know, think about what any college student did. Now, I still loved to lift, and even in high school, outside of football, I made sure to have PE in there. But in college, I was lifting a ton of walking, but then I was playing, I did intramural soccer, terrible, flag football, basketball with my friends. Even if I wasn't lifting on like Sundays or Saturdays, my buddies we would go to the gym, but we would just do body weight. So don't lift weight, but just body weight. And then a few years back, I stumbled across 75 hard, and one of the workouts has to be outside. So if you don't know what 75 hard is, part of it you have to do a 75-day streak. I never finished it, but part of it is you have to do two workouts that are at least 45 minutes. One has to be outside. To make the outside workout not so hard, I just went with walking. So it was like 3 days a week lift in the mornings, and then on the non-lift days, just still do something. But in the afternoons, it was walk, walk, walk. I got like pretty lean doing that on accident, which is fine. But I think adults, when they go into training, they, and this is good, but at the minimum, you're probably like, I can squeeze in a 10-minute workout every day. What about the rest of the time, right? What about uh, the old man strength? Now, what is that? That's like back when you had guys that were farmers like 100 years ago. Probably not huge, but you shake their hand and it would like crush your hand into dust. And the only way to get that is just constant, low intensity movement. All right. But the thing is constant movement. It's like the whole grip, and I have a pull-up bar, but the whole grip thing is they probably did something with their hands, not an all-out max, but they had to do that for like 8 hours a day. Whereas I rode like you had a 20-pound bag, you pick it up once, whatever, but you have to do that all day. It becomes a different animal. So how do we get that back? All right, modern comforts have done everything but give us the ability to just live and get strong automatically. I'm gonna tell you. So this is gonna be farmer training or old man strength training, and this is outside of the boxes. I'll explain. So the first thing is you have to brainstorm. What do you need for yourself? Okay. Nobody can answer this for you because I understand I talk about strength training a lot, but outside of that, like, are you immobile or are you out of shape? Do you have a hard time breathing when you walk up the stairs? And I don't want to think about like too much just cardio, but like what can you add in that helps you move more in the day? Like, do you need to stretch while watching TV? Do you need to take the stairs? Do you need to go for walks or rucks more often? Figure it out. Now, step two, as a baseline, keep your strength training in there. Okay. I don't want to make you think that all you need to do is a bunch of like farmers carries and stuff, right? But I do like the fact that strength training programs get you stronger as a whole, but that should be you know, that's the minimum, right? You have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday routine. Yes, you're getting in the gym, but then you, unfortunately, you could be sitting around the rest of the time. So your baseline is do your strength training program, keep that up, and then fill in the gaps, right? You should have your brainstorm list. You're like, okay, like I'll just use myself as an example. Let's say I'm lifting 3 days a week, but I'm like, I'm kind of getting puffier than I want. So I'm going to do a lot of walking. I'm going to up the ante and make it a ruck where you wear a weighted backpack and walk. And if, you know, if you're stiff, luckily I work at home, so this is not too weird, but it's like take breaks from work and make sure I stretch every day. And after all that, you need to make a list. Okay. So you need to make a list so that you don't forget what you need to do. Because humans, you know, I can have an idea of like, oh, I need to do all this stuff. But if you don't write it down, you're probably just not going to do it. And last tip here, I'm going to be quick here because I have a guest. But the last tip is to just change your mindset. I read Juji Mufu's book on flexibility, and he already gave a hint about this in this video, but the main thing was he said you have to adopt the lifestyle of flexibility if you want to be flexible. Along the same lines, you need to adopt the lifestyle of movement if you want to move well. Like I got a couple of kids, they move very well, but nobody has to remind them to do that. And they just move well because they move often. So you're a human being, but you're still an animal. So you need to be moving to thrive. And the last tip I want to say is I recently reread, and there's not a whole lot to it, but I reread Combat Conditioning by Matt Fury. And if you don't know who he is a awesome martial arts athlete, and I don't know if he probably popularized the Hindu push-up and the Hindu squat, but he trains, or his idea is to train every day. And in the book, he kind of gives a short programming, quote unquote, Q&A, and the question is, how often do you train? And he said, well, how often do you brush your teeth? How often do you eat? It doesn't have to be this intense thing, but you don't also have to pigeonhole yourself into a box and think, well, I squatted and deadlifted on Monday. I'm just going to rest 2 days completely until Wednesday. You can do more than that. You can do push-ups every day if you want it, if it's just like 10 reps, okay? It's not that intense, but understand that if you have something you can add in that's low intensity, your body will thank you for it. So that's it. Go try all that out. A little bit later than I wanted to start today because the sun's out. But thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.